apologies. I do think I have a camera technical breakdown, which we are trying to fix right now. But I certainly would like to mention my gratitude for the military across the globe for their service and our memorial to them across the globe. Thank you for your service. Thank you across the planet. And without the service that you gave to us, we could potentially not be here today. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I still do have some technical glitches with my camera, but on the show today, we do welcome Alex and Garrett, who are with us from the Athlete's Edge and also the Prospect Block. Once again, thank you, everybody, for your service. And thank you for putting up with my technical glitch. But here's Garrett and here is Alex. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Richie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Richie. We certainly appreciate it. And I think from both Garrett and I, we would like to thank all of the veterans out there. Without your sacrifice, obviously, none of us would, potentially be here. And we certainly do appreciate what you guys are doing. And, veterans and to my grandfather and my father and some of my friends who are still active military. Thank you guys so much. We certainly do appreciate it to all the veterans out there.
Alex, Garrett, welcome. And what are you gentlemen currently up to right now? Athlete's Edge, the Prospect Block. What is it? There you go. Straight from the hip, gentlemen. What is it?
Alex, I'll let you lead this one off.
He's deferring to me already. Look at this go. No, we're super excited about what's going on with both the Athlete's Edge and the Prospect Block. Our history is really based from the Athlete's Edge start. And I think to talk a little bit about what's going on in our history with the Athlete's Edge leads us into what's going on at the Prospect Block. And Garrett and I grew up in sports. I'll let Garrett talk about his whole story. Grew up playing a bunch of different sports, as many of them as I could. I've always been a sports fanatic and playing. Coming through high school, at the level that I played at and the exposure that I got, really had one offer coming out of high school, going into college, played college soccer for a few years, came out, and ever since then have served in a coach capacity as a mentor to young athletes. And very fortunate a few years ago that a mutual contact for Garrett and I reached out to us, who was in the athletic world, and said, hey, we got some ideas here and some things that are going. We'd love for you to be a part of it. And during the course of that conversation, the Athlete's Edge was born. So, I think I'd like Garrett to give his background and story, and then we'll kind of give you the story about the Athlete's Edge and what's morphed over the last 3 years with the Athlete's Edge and what's been happening now with the Prospect Block.
Sure, that's brilliant. Hey, Garrett.
Yeah. Hey, Richie. Thanks, Alex. We defer to you because we love your beautiful voice. Much like Alex, I grew up in a sports family. For me, it was actually American football. To be completely honest with you, my dad ran the feeder program for the high school. I didn't grow. Let's be honest. I was in high school, I was 5'2", 99 pounds. My sophomore year, I broke 100. We had a huge celebration, but American football wasn't really the option for me at that point. Like Alex said, we both grew up playing 5-6 different sports. From there, it kind of just developed. My dad kind of looked at it and said, well, you love soccer. I'm gonna learn the sport. I'm gonna be your coach. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you play at the next level. What I didn't realize is there really wasn't anything out there to kind of make that happen unless a coach by chance saw you at a tournament or a high school game or something like that. Right. I kind of grew up in the age of, club soccer wasn't, known. It was more about the high school and the wins, losses. And again, hope to God a coach came to your game and found you. Much like Alex, I had one offer to a junior college and ended up playing a little bit higher level after that. But that led us into where we are today. Like Alex said, a mutual connection approached us about kind of the testing side of our business, which is the Athlete's Edge. It was kind of a no-brainer for both of us. We both had a passion for coaching, and we kind of look at this as the same way, as it's a way to give back to kids and provide them the opportunity to play at the next level through our other business called the Prospect Block, and kind of combine the two. It's a little synopsis about me. That's kind of my background, my journey. And from there, again, the Athlete's Edge was born, and a year and a half ago, we ended up with this company called the Prospect Block.
So hey, with all due respect, gentlemen, and hey, the good thing about this, I don't think I'm on screen, so I do have that face for radio. So we're all cool. It's all about you. So your athletic ability, gentlemen, let me just touch on. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going. So you're sort of middle of the pack with a desire to maybe go to college, play a sport if you can, and obviously education is prime, which we'll touch on later for every athlete, regardless of their ability. Was that the drive for you to get together, and we'll find out that later how you did cross paths, to go, okay, Athlete says this is where we come from, this is what we want to provide for our clients, for the people out there, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. And as technology changes, the world is becoming smaller with the internet. Understanding how to simplify the recruiting process and those analytics, as we do with our athletic testing, is really to show coaches exactly what maybe an athlete is. And I'll use a prime example with my own son, who, changed position. He spent most of his life playing a singular position in his sport, got changed and really, but when you look at his athletic measurements, were really, really good. Well, there he is right there. So, there's Colby doing a test for us. And, from that perspective, when you look at him, he's much better looking than I am. Richie, I wish you were on the screen here, but, as a 6'2", as a 6'2" athlete and speed that I'm not sure where he got it from, because it's not from me. His athletic measurements really overpowered maybe his game IQ in the position that he was moved to only 2.5, 3 years ago. And, by being able to showcase some of those athletic measurements at that point in time, he then was able to find his way, get recruited into a collegiate program, and currently plays for a collegiate program.
So gents, you've got obviously the visuals, you've got your travel tournaments, you've got your ID camps. So beam me up, Scotty. You can, and I'll be the devil's advocate, you can be over stats, over analytics, over data, but checking into what you do, I think these are vital to build an athlete's resume as well as the visual to enhance, hey, this is me, this is some track record of me and what I've been doing. Explain how that would hurt me. So, but explain what do you do there, lads? What is that?
Are you talking about what is this drill on the screen?
No, yeah.
Here?
What data do you collect with that there? And I'm not doing that, so don't ask me to do it, lads.
You're up next, man.
Cheers.
No, I think this is a better way to explain it is it's just your true athletic ability in general. So what this athlete's doing right here is what you call your shuttle drill, 5-10-5 pro agility. Call it what you will. It's really measuring your footwork side to side. We also have similar drills, the 40-yard dash. Everybody's heard of it within the football combine, but it's a little bit different on the soccer side of things and things like that. But I think what we're really measuring is 5 to 6 true stats that can't be taught. And that's the biggest thing. A soccer coach or a football coach or a lacrosse coach, whatever it is at the time, they're going to be able to teach the skills. I was a byproduct of that. I know I wasn't the greatest soccer player in high school, but I kind of evolved through college. I was kind of a late bloomer and things like that. But truly being able to show a athlete's athletic ability to a coach kind of lets the coach determine if they can work with them more on the mental side of the game and the skill side of the game versus, oh my gosh, I don't know if he has the speed to play this position or something like that. If that answers your question, Richie. Go ahead, Alex.
Gotcha.
I'm going to jump in here also from that perspective. All of our measurements are really around 3 core characteristics, and that's speed, that's power, and that's agility, right? And that's universal in any sport that we have. And so our combine testing is modified by sport that's accurately reflect that. So our football combines look different than our soccer combines. While you may have some of those same carryover, there's that. But I think outside of just the recruiting side, what's evolved over the last few years is us also working with personal trainers, people who are, PT people who are helping athletes rehab, because now we're getting a chance to help those trainers as they are working with individual athletes towards playing at the next level. We've got verified metrics that shows the progression of that athlete and the effectiveness that that trainer is now having on that athlete towards their sport specific performance. And I think the same thing goes with, physical therapy coming back from an injury. We know about where they were before when you've got consistent testing, and we've got athletes that test every quarter that go into that to make sure that from a health, from a rehab, from everything else they're doing, that they're able to maintain their peak performance. And so I think outside of just the standard recruiting, which is really where we're seeing it take off and it feeds over into the prospect block, but is being able to use that aspect for a multitude of reasons from that. And we really custom make that around what is needed for that individual sport, that individual athlete or trainer, and what they're trying to accomplish.
I really like, you've enlightened me there. That comeback from an injury for that athlete to have a plan of action for the rehabilitation. Not even thought about that. Have you been involved in that side of it at all with the Athlete's Edge and any of your clients, Alex or Garrett?
Yeah, we've got athletes that we've tested throughout the last 2 years that have come off even something as simple as an ankle sprain.
Right.
And most of that comes through our trainers. As our trainers get out there and they're working with individual specific drills from that perspective, and being able to do that. And all of the data is archived. So what their progression is or not. And in the same boat outside of that is injury prevention, because if we're seeing that an athlete tested last quarter and they've been training super hard, maybe they're not getting enough downtime, or maybe something's wrong with their diet, and we can see their metrics. And if their metrics start to slow down, they need to look at how they're training, what they're eating, and they take a holistic approach, both from an injury prevention standpoint as well as a recovery standpoint.
So it's right across the board, isn't it? We can do pre-season, like you said, the patterns of retaining that fitness level with the data that you have from that, and at the same time, what do you like coming back from that, building that, I suppose, program for your rehab, depending on the injury, from a simple ankle injury to what we're looking at in today's sports. It's all ACL, MCL stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, we have an athlete we tested who, in the last game of his freshman year in college, got a significant knee injury, and he's in rehab right now. And so, I think as he starts to progress through, it wouldn't be surprised if we put him back through the system just to see how his recovery goes.
Yep. So it's, as naive as I am, gentlemen, and back in my day was, you get an injury, you go to the gym, you do your stretches, and if you obviously back in my time, and move this, mobility and everything. So you see all that, you see all that on the rehab stuff. So this information is vital. Now you've kicked it in on the rehab for, I suppose, any level of athlete, right?
Yeah, I mean, any level of athlete. We're seeing athletes starting their training or testing as early as middle school, and watching how their progression goes. So Garrett talked about his personal deal of being 100 pounds at his sophomore year, and a shorter athlete. Garrett's now 6'3", 6'4", and just as in shape as he always was in high school, right? But he, that late bloomer, from that perspective when it comes in. So you can see the athletic transition is these athletes, both from a training side. Every athlete, as we know, everybody develops different times in their lives. Some develop at 14, 15. Some are late bloomers, like a Garrett at 16, 17, 18, as you go through it. And so, I think that the rehab part is a great one. The recruiting part is that's becoming more and more conducive, and we hope to explore that a little bit more. And finally, the last thing that we also didn't touch on is teams and organizations are now using this as part of tryouts. And, when you've got a group of athletes that are coming together and they're trying to get a good look at a tryout in a 1 or 2 session side, understanding athletic capabilities also outside of what they see in those short drills, scrimmages, or whatever the case may be, depending on the sport, allows some of them to make some decisions as well during the course of team selection and how they move that. And so we're also seeing that evolve into integrations into clubs and organizations for that testing. So now we're hitting the trainers, we're working with individual athletes and clubs and moving on. And so we're seeing people integrated, as you said, preseason, sometimes during season, sometimes postseason, and the same thing for trainers. If they're doing an off-season training program, pre-training, post-training during the off-season to see the effectiveness of how they're training.
Well, and I would say too, I'll add to that. Sorry, Richie, real quick. I just want to add to the injury side of this. And, I think it's really brought proactiveness to the forefront, for these trainers. What happened when, us old guys got injured was we got injured. Now we're going to try and fix it. Now they're able to see beforehand, to potentially prevent the injury from even happening in the first place. And also have an understanding of how they're going to recover in a faster capacity than we've ever had before. And it really is moving forward at a lightning fast pace. And that's to Alex's point. He's got a valid point there. I mean, we work with a ton of trainers, and that's really what they're looking at, is do they plant harder on your left foot versus your right foot and things like that. And again, we're able to prevent more injuries rather than, the old school method of tape it to the next one, go see the trainer and hope to God you're okay. Right. So.
Right. So what you're collecting is a holistic program for the athlete, fitness, agility, ability, stats for or physical performance. They can take that and look at, hey, we've got this. We may need to look at your left knee, your left ankle, or something along those lines. Or if something does go, which is pretty much most of me, then there's the rehabilitation platform. Garrett, I'm going to pick on you, mate. I know you're tall, but we're too far away, and we can. I'm going to ask you this question, and it's just come to me. So sorry, lads. Could it be used for officials, referees?
Absolutely. Do officials get injured? I've seen them. I mean, think about I'll just use American football as an example. You got how many refs on a field, and I think we've all seen the videos of the refs sprinting down the sideline trying to catch up with the receiver. I mean, I don't know about you, but he's probably not at that athletic performance of that NFL receiver. And so hamstrings can go all the time, right? I mean, it really depends on the test you want to, put them through and things like that. But, absolutely. I think it's preventative in any injury, that could potentially be on the horizon, so to speak.
So just not the athletes there, refs, get on board. I know there's a shortage of refs as well, lads. So get hold of Alex, get hold of Garrett. I don't know if they know the rules too well on most of the sports, lads. So I'm going to throw that at you there, lads. But they are taking care of business and taking care of you. That's the athlete and the officials. How did you two sort of get together, say, hey, we're going to do the athlete's edge? And what was that, I suppose, evolving into the prospect block? So you ran across each other. What happened there, lads?
Yeah, and I'm gonna jump into one more thing about the testing side before we move to that, Richie, is the interesting part from the athlete's edge side. And so we can do our standard combine testing. This is ideal testing scenarios like you're seeing on the screen where we're doing a weave agility drill. And that everything that we do is laser verified. And so this isn't a stopwatch scenario. It doesn't know the player from the next player. everything that we do, and you can see those down there where that athlete's hand is going through, is laser verified. So we're making sure that we're getting accurate data. We're not having a trigger happy finger, on, hey, this is my first team stud. I'm going to make sure his time looks good to get recruited. So, everything is laser verified. But part of Garrett and I is always the evolution of trying to provide the athlete the best opportunity, not only for the injury prevention, but for the recruiting, which will lead us into the prospect block. But, from that, while we've got the standard combine testing that's laser verified, is now as we break into the wearables, and we're working on with a couple wearable partnerships that will provide now coaches from a collegiate level or above real data about the athlete's measurements from an ideal standard combine setting, in addition to what they do on the field, and being able to see real-time game stats. So if we take soccer, we're able to measure their max velocity kick as to, and what are they using? Do they use 1 foot versus the other in a foot preference? Are they planting more on that? And that's part of that injury prevention, but it also goes to the next evolution of what the data is. And so from Garrett and I, we're always committed to upgrading the technology, looking at what's best for the athlete across the board. And we make that investment into our equipment to make sure that we're providing the best experience and the most useful data for the athlete. But to go back to your question, Garrett and I were fortunate enough, we were both in corporate America for years, and we got a chance to meet each other working for the same organization. We ultimately came to work together in the Midwest, and then both migrated out here to Colorado, and we're able to work together there. And so we've known each other for years, mutual, both from a working side and from a friendship side. And then that's when we got approached by a buddy of ours who was kind of in the sports space, who used to work with us as well, who was in the sports space, a former football player, a collegiate football player. So from that perspective, that's how the Athlete's Edge was born. Brought us in and said, hey, here's where we think sports are going. We can manage some of the data, but we need some testing stuff done around that data, and let's brainstorm. And the Athlete's Edge at that point was born.
That pretty much sums it up.
Can't hide, can you? It's factual. So, like you said at the beginning, gentlemen, Alex, the guy with the stopwatch, he's done a sprint, or she has, of course, and it's slightly over what they're required, so they can just jump that down with a notepad, right? But this, as I said, you might be able to run, but you certainly can't hide, because fact is fact.
And those lasers, once they go through that laser, it is there's no changing that time. There's nothing. That time is that time, and it goes into the database at that point, and it is what it is. And it doesn't know whether you're the star player, you're the fifth string. It does not matter. And so, I think we always have fun with coaches who are pretty good about, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm an accurate timer. Right. I guarantee, Richie, if the three of us put a stopwatch in our hand and we had someone drop their hand and raise it back up again, and we all were trying to time that, we're not going to get the same time. And, especially when we start to talk about the collegiate recruiting process and scholarships, and this could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That 1/10 of a second in that means a lot, and that could be the difference between a scholarship to a school or not. And so, the verification side of that, both when we select our technology pieces, both from our standard combine to in-play gaming and wearables technology, is really making sure that it's providing the most accurate data to our athletes and ultimately to the coaches through the prospect block, for those coaches to know exactly what they're recruiting and the athlete to know. And it's no more the famous thing we ran into plenty of coaches of going, hey, this kid told me he ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. I brought him in on an official visit. We put him through a workout out right here. He ran a 4.69. That's not what we're recruiting. I wouldn't have flown him in. And now I didn't fly these other kids in for that, or I've wasted that money. And so, I think there's some different things that we're providing to help to help both the athletes and coaches understand exactly where they need to be and where the best fit is.
I think it's vital to just have those stats, as I say, for the athletes. Not only the resume, but their capabilities, and of course, again in rehab. Talking about 3 stopwatches. When I used to do my preseason stuff, we used a Sundial, so it's evolved quite a lot, gents, hasn't it? So I won't even go into that. So the Athlete's Edge, you've got together. You've come up with some ideas, and it's evolved into. Well, it's another platform, the Prospect Block, gentlemen. So go ahead. But how did that sandwich evolve?
Richie, I'm going to let Garrett take this, but I got a question for you. Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you. Listen, hey, I'll tell you what I've done, right? You're right.
It's like a real sundial.
No, listen. This is for everybody out there as well, because I shoot from the hip. I'm transparent. I'll tell you what is happening right now. When the show kicked in, I dropped offline, so I had to get back on real quick. Now, what I don't want to do with Richie English and technology, my camera has not been turned round to face me. So you're looking at my laptop, lads. All right? So that's it.
The sundial. So, Richie, I got something for you so that you could do that.
Be careful what you're saying, lads.
I got something for you here. I got Richie
boy.
right here. So Richie's ready to go. I can wear that or do that as Richie's here ready. Just
listen. Halloween's gone, lads. All right. You get no candy for
amazing.
that. You'll get egged for that. So
we'll put
brilliant.
you up here so that you could when you're talking, we'll put you front and center, and then we'll come back. So
thanks, lads. I tell you what, big love to you. You've thought about me there. So there's a joke later in there anyway. Hey, lads, come on. Thank you though. Come on, the big sandwich. What is it? Athlete's Edge. You two guys got together. You said, okay, we're going to evolve. Prospect Block. We've got the data. We've got the details. You got the whole shebang. More.
Well, there's your cutout. That's awesome. Well, Richie, to
take
be honest,
that off. It's terrible.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
I could look at it all day.
No. Come on, lads.
No, the funny thing is about the verified metrics, right? Is we found we provide them for a lot of athletes across the nation, things like that. But it's what do you do with those verified metrics, after the fact? We realize a lot of kids, they get their verified metrics and we get a ton of questions. Okay, now what? And this leads us in kind of where the Prospect Block was born. It's again, the recruiting process has really changed through the years. I mentioned earlier that you had to be seen by a coach. Hopefully they had enough travel time and budget in there to come see you and do it. Now coaches can sit there and click through a mouse. There's a lot of recruiting platforms out there and things like that. I think where ours is a little bit different is, it is centered around those verified metrics, which enables a coach to truly understand their athletic ability before they even, get to what Alex was talking about earlier of, flying them in, wasting all those dollars on somebody that may or may not have the, the athletic ability they're really looking for those positions. I mean, let's be honest, college sports are competitive. Jobs are on the line almost every single game. So these coaches have really evolved into, the more of the online. I mean, think how many more kids you can thumb through sitting at your desk with a mouse versus traveling, right, by rental cars and whatever it is, trains, planes, automobiles, and whatnot. So we got I think it was a mutual approach. We partnered with a company that was really, I guess, specifically aimed towards transfers because they didn't have any way to, I guess, get their name out there from the transfer side of things through the NCAA and things like that. So, when Alex and I kind of partnered with this company, we were able to kind of, relate to a lot more kids on the level through our testing side and understand that we want to help high school athletes, no matter who they are, if they want to play at the next level and have the desire to, and they have the athletic ability, let's provide something that essentially can get them to that next level. The Division Ones, the Fulls of Ride scholarships, those aren't the recruiting platform guys. Let's be honest. The coaches recognize them and things like that. But there's so much more talent out there in kids that may not have the means to, I guess, essentially play at the next level due to certain circumstances around recruiting these days. And so that's really where the Prospect Block was born. It's been going very, very well. And again, I think it's one of those deals that is really going to continue to revolutionize the entire industry. I don't think we're even scratching the surface of where this is going, if I'm being completely honest with you. We do have a question, by the way. I see it over here in the lovely chat. So,
yeah, and I'll happily. So we'll come to that question here in just a second. I would say, Richie, one of the things on the biggest one on the platform here, as Garrett said, is we're centered around that. Now, athletes don't have to test with Garrett and I to have their verified metrics come onto the prospect block. There's many showcases, camps, tournaments across the nation that have companies that look similar to the Athlete's Edge. And if we can verify that through those third-party companies, that gets verified on the prospect block.
Yeah.
And when it gets into the prospect block, those verified metrics for that sport-specific testing then get locked. So the athlete is not able to change the data, and it changes the color. So a collegiate coach, when they're quickly looking through Garrett's profile, is going to be able to see, oh, these are verified metrics, these are not. The athlete can enter their own at any given time as long as they're not verified. But once they're verified, they have to go through a cross-checking process in order for us to make sure that they are certified and verified, so that the collegiate coaches know that that is a real-time data, and that it is a third party, not someone sitting in the backyard with their dad and getting the best time possible. So, from that perspective. But sorry, I know we got a question, so happy to answer it.
I think that came in from Deborah. If you can see that, guys, Deborah Scholes, she's a regular viewer. She is out in she's over on the East Coast. Virginia Rush, I'll give him a mention anyway, because Chris P runs a great program out there. And have a look at that, gentlemen. Welcome, Deb.
Yeah, welcome, Deb. Thank you so much
for the question.
And Richie, this is just much.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Richie, when we look at your resume, let's be really clear of how impressive your resume is here. You're probably a great one to be able to answer about athletic abilities. But from our side, I think our testing side allows athletes to maximize that. And again, many athletes, whether they have a trainer, whether they're training on their own, may or may not understand what the testing may look like at the next level. And so when we run athletes through standard combine testing, and knowing that if we're take American football, for instance, that it's going to be a 40-yard dash, it's going to be a pro agility, it's going to be a vertical. Now that athlete knows, well, I need to change my training regimen around these types of movements. And so if you think about a 40-yard dash for an American football athlete, as you saw in that picture a minute ago, where the athlete has got his hand down on the ground in a 3-point stance, there are drills that athletes can do to come out of the blocks a little bit quicker, just like that athlete is right there. If you notice, his feet are set, he's got his weight moving forward, he's leaning forward already with only knuckles on the fingertips kind of on the ground. So with that athlete, he's been trained in understanding that, and there are different drills that an athlete or a trainer and an athlete can do to maximize that out of the gate, because it's so important. Many of those, how you get that first initial jump and reaction into these drills. So, from that side, I guess, coaching athletic abilities at the grassroots level, absolutely. We work with trainers every day who work on that athletic ability, and they maximize that and going, hey, look, this athlete is never going to be a 4.4 athlete, but today they're a 4.7, and I can get them to a 4.62. And this is the way we're going to do it. And we're going to look at what's their knee drive, what's their coming out of the blocks, things like that. Hereditary, I'm going to go ahead and say, from a hereditary standpoint, you can't fight that. That just is what it is. That's why you look at pro athletes who have their kids are pro athletes on that. I think there's some hereditary stuff. But I'm also going to say, from that other perspective, I'll talk about me. I'm a 5'10". I'm 5'10". That's my max height. I never made 6
Finely tuned athlete.
What's that?
I said he's a finely tuned athlete.
That's right. But I'm 5'10", but my son is 2. And so some of that is hereditary. I don't know. Maybe it's milkman. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but at this point, you know, I think you can train some of that athleticism at the grassroots level, but you're never going to turn a, you know, unless it's just a freak deal. You're not going to take someone, you know, you're athletic who is an average athleticism into an Olympic athlete. They're just built that born that way. But you know, you can move everybody up. You know, and what we've seen from our you know, we've got hundreds of thousands of athletes that have run through our combines. You know, understanding that athletes can improve 10, 15, 20% with dedication, hard work, and
Sure.
training.
I think that
added to that. Go on, Garrett.
No.
Go on, mate.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick. I think it comes down to identifying that. If you don't know that, that would be very hard to train, right? But if you can identify that and see the progression, to Alex's point, trainers can take that info now these days and can really train you on how to get better. But if you don't know that until maybe your senior year in high school, you're probably a little bit behind the 8 ball versus, you know, a kid in 7th, 8th grade understanding where their athletic measurements at and kind of where they can go.
And we work with trainers, both who are physical trainers in person with athletes going into them, to trainers who are online, and they help do assessments online, and they can work virtually with players that, while they're, you know, they may be stationed here in Colorado, they've got athletes in in Florida or California, and they're able to help sport specific training. And I think that's, you know, kind of like the data metrics is sport specific. We're seeing more and more trainers start to specialize in not just general. I mean, I think about when I was an athlete coming in, almost everybody had the same workout. You're going to come in, you're going to jump on the bench press, you're going to get on squats, you're going to, you know, you're going to do curls, you're going to do all of those things were pretty standardized. You may change the weight, the number of reps, the number of sets, things along those lines. But now we're seeing the evolution of trainers becoming very specific in their methodology for training by sport, both for max performance and injury prevention.
That is fantastic advice. And I do know where Deb comes from. She works with the younger generation. So let's be careful with the word grassroots, because grassroots sports can be from 5 right through. It gets misconstrued sometimes. Grassroots can still be through high school. Grassroots sports can still be us guys out there on the park throwing a baseball or something. Or that category. My suggestion to anybody involved in any sport in terms of, you know, what is the analytics database? How quick can they run? What is their diet like? Well, completely forget it. Completely eliminate it. Give them a ball, give them a club, give them a bat, give them a helmet, whatever, and go and let them play, because everything you've done prior to that, gentlemen, they'll go through a growth spurt and you'll start all over again. So it becomes meaningless. Am I right or am I wrong? And that's not a threat.
No, you're right. I mean, as bodies change, right? Garrett's a
prime example, right?
Prime example. If we had videos of me running back when I was a junior and senior, I was very, very fast growing up. I mean, I played American football. I was small. I had to run from everybody. You think I wanted to get tackled? You're crazy. But, you know, junior, senior year, I chose soccer because I was, you know, a little itty bitty kid, so to speak. And, you know, when I was junior, senior in high school, I wasn't very fast. I had to figure out how to like actually stride my legs out and things like that. I kind of looked like a baby deer for the first time for 2-3 years. So, but through that training, that, you know, then I became faster in college, you know, and that's just kind of how it worked.
I still look like a baby deer when I'm running. I still look like that. So we're not, you know, that's not
I've seen you go and chase one of the soccer balls from the practice session, mate. Took a while, but there we go. No, joking, mate. Hey, I want to sort of simmer down and start rolling out of the show, gentlemen. I did see a friend of mine. He's out in Kenya, and I'm going to put, mate, lads, you know I was throwing at the deep end. You'll come out smelling the roses anyway. There's a friend of mine from Kenya, Coach George. He runs an academy out there. There we go. And it's there's a lot going off in his village, in his county, Kissimmee. And everybody that goes to his school and his soccer academy, they grow their own food. okay, because they have to, and a lot of stuff could go into it. But I'm just wondering, throwing it at you, maybe there's a connection out there where we could help his community, what he does with, some of the Athletes Edge, some of the prospect, but a lot of talented players out there that love the game. So it's a one-word answer, this gentleman. Could you help my good friend Coach George out in Kenya? One-word answer.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Brilliant. That's it. George will be in touch, mate. And I had George on the show, but he had more technical difficulties than I did, so we had to close it down a little bit earlier. But that was no fault of Coach George. This is completely my doing, and I own it, gentlemen. So let me summarize. Athletes Edge rolls into one with the prospect block. So from the athletes' fitness, ability, agility, etc., can be monitored, database, shown to the coaches, etc. It's for rehab, it's for preseason, it's the whole shebang. And then on top of the sandwich, gents, is the prospect block for them to share their data, maybe upload some videos, and it's nothing to be afraid of in terms of the recruitment policy. You don't need to be frantic. And what I've seen from the prospect block, it's more of a social aspect of, hey, come and join the fun. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens. And you guys can help with all that, right?
Yeah, we
Yes.
definitely can. I think recruiting platforms have gotten maybe some bad publicity. There's a lot of very high dollar that are, that maybe some overselling. Again, not that, but I think there's a high value in that. I think for us, Garrett and I, we're pushing for a very affordable platform that every athlete could be
right.
on. We put it into perspective that if you buy the annual subscription, it should equal to 1 hour or less of work per month. So, for an average of $10 a month, an athlete can get on and connect with every coach across the nation in their sport and try to put it. And so we put every coach, and we try to put coaches and athletes into the same place where they can meet each other, find if there's the right fit for them to move forward, and to explore if they're a potential fit for that program.
Keyword: affordable, cost effective. It's not scary. It's social. You're here in Colorado. You're on home turf. I know you do expand out into other states, but for anybody on our home turf here, check them out. Even just give them a call. Yes, this is my sales pitch, lads. I don't normally do sales on here, but you're on home turf, so I've got to throw Colorado out there. And I do know that there is a connection for foreign-based athletes to come on board, which is in the process. And we'll move on from that, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I know that we could have gone over a lot more stuff. I'm pleased that with the Athletes Edge, it takes care of the athlete. I'm ecstatic over the fact that the prospect block is more of a social media enterprise without me or any other parent having to mortgage their house to get involved. You've nodded. That's a good answer. I can't let you go without very quickly doing a quick fire 5 questions. It's got to be quick, gentlemen. And the beauty of today's show, you've heard Richie English, the voice of radio, not the face of TV. There he is. Hey, I'll tell you what, lads, I've got a beard. I'm going to do Macy's for me Christmas Santa, so we'll put that out at the end. Get that off.
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Quick 5-5. I'm going to go Alex, Garrett, and we'll run from there. Alex, what's your favourite team? Soccer. I'm going soccer, mate.
Man U.
All right, leave it. Alex.
You mean Garrett?
Garrett.
Sorry. Yeah, Garrett. Yeah, my bad.
Man U, although the form right now is making me mad.
Tough luck. There we go. Man U. Dear, oh dear. All right, there we go. Any athlete on the planet, Alex? Any athlete on the planet while you were growing up that inspired you?
Woo. Oh man. Bo Jackson.
Okay. Garrett, hang
Christian,
on. No. He's Man U as well, isn't he, Christian? You can't do Man U all the
they
time.
brought
Mate.
him back.
I'm going to slightly tweak it for you. Any player that you would recommend that would inspire an athlete today, current athlete? I got to tweak it. Helps you know what's coming, mate.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Lionel Messi. It's hard. I mean, he's against a lot of. I won't take up time, but he's an anomaly, right? So when we talk about the hereditary thing, it's possible.
Xavi, Iniesta, Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi. I'm going to just say Paul Scholes, even though he's Man U. Very underrated, world class. One word, Alex. No, I'll tell you what, Garrett, you go first. One word, keyword, inspirational word that you would give as an advice to an athlete. There's a tough one. One word, mate.
Hard work.
That'll do. That's a double whammy. I'm going to same to you, Alex. Cheers, mate.
Grind.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. I'll go Garrett again, mate. Pick one sport that you've had a look at. It's weird. It's obscure. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have a real good go at that. Even if it's, I don't know, hand gliding upside down. Something, whatever, mate. Whatever. Obscure. I like a go at that, mate. Go on, Garrett.
Are you asking me a sport that I'm not very good at, but I've had a go at?
Just something. Oh, I'll have a go at that, mate. That
Bocce ball.
Great. Ooh. Say it again.
Bocce ball.
Oh, right. Yeah. Good for you. Alex, obscure.
I don't want to play it, and it's not necessarily obscure across the world, but I don't understand it, and I want to, is cricket.
Right, we haven't got 17 weeks to talk about that, mate. So I'll go for it another time. And the last one, gentlemen. Alex, if you were cooking dinner for friends coming round or family, what's your speciality to cook, mate?
We're on the smoker. We're bringing brisket or a smoked meat in.
I know where you live. Nice one, mate. And Garrett, final question. If Alex is cooking and you know it, would you actually visit him and go round there as because you have confidence in his chef culinary ability?
Yes, but it'd be more for the company of seeing his sweet wife and wonderful kids before him.
Brilliant. I'll leave you to you can debate that behind the show at the end, gentlemen. So thank you. Apologies for my technology crapness, but more importantly, I think we've got a nice message across to everyone. Good luck to all the athletes out there, and bless everyone out there that knows somebody or as family members for while we are here in the free world today. Thank you for all those people that gave their lives for us. It is appreciated. Alex, Garrett, would you be kind enough to leave our viewers and followers one final message? I would say I'm leaving the studio. I don't think I'm in it anyway. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Richie, for having us on. And we'll leave it with this. Anybody who wants to go to theprospectblock.com, we've got a coupon code right now. You can sign up for a full 12 months for only $20. So we wanted to make sure that your viewers out there today get a special promotion for tuning in today. But I think more importantly than that, I want to leave with this. We get to do what we get to do with athletes and enjoy our passion and following our passion of working with athletes because of the service members. And from our perspective, back over this way, from veterans, past veterans, people who are enlisting now, thank you so much. We are in a debt that we can never repay for your service, and we want to thank you.
100%.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.